10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Discussing everything about the afterlife and spirit world. Coming to you all the way from Ireland. It's Sandie Byrne.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Life After Life with me, Sandie Byrne. So in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about the process of trusting spirit, okay? Particularly how you need to trust that what you're getting from spirit is actually coming from spirit and not something that you're picking up from people psychically, okay? So the first and the smartest answer to that question would be experience, okay? Doesn't experience teach us everything? Okay, because if you're developing your mediumship or your spiritual connection, as you work through it, you will get to know yourself and your sensitivities better the more that you use them. You know, and eventually it becomes second nature for you to know when you're connecting with someone on a psychic level versus what you're getting on a spiritual level. Okay. Now, of course, the biggest part of the knowing comes from learning the mechanics of mediumship. Okay, now this is something that I can't really teach you in one episode of a podcast, but I will tell you that one of the first things I teach people on my mediumship development program is the different levels of connection and the difference between elevating your energy to a psychic connection versus elevating your vibration to a mediumship connection, okay? And there's a big gap between the two energies. But once you recognize them, you know, you recognize the difference between them, then you will easily recognize where your energy is at any given time. Okay, it's not easy. Okay, and there's days where I feel it more than, you know, other days where I don't feel it so much. Okay, because yes, I'm a medium, and yes, I've been doing readings for quite some time now. Okay, but I can still have days where my energy isn't as high as it should be. Okay, so if you're someone that's been following me for some time, okay, you will be aware that during 2023, I took a huge step back from mediumship and I did an awful lot less readings than other years. Okay, and even during the summer of 2024, I took another step back. Okay, I'm at a place now in my development, and I'm still developing, I don't know everything, but I'm at a place now in my development where I recognize dips in my spiritual energy quicker than I did in my past. Okay, and everyone's energy took a huge hit during the COVID years. Like, we were cut off from our network. Everything went online. You know, we were fed fear and hype over every media station, and it affected us in many, many ways. For me, it was my spiritual work. Okay, and I picked up quite quickly that I was finding it increasingly difficult to elevate my energy beyond the level of psychic connection up to the level of mediumship or spirit connection. Okay, I hope I'm making sense with this, okay? Because discussing the different levels of connection and, you know, the etheric aura and all of that, it's all something that I go into in much more depth on my mediumship program. But for now, I just want you to understand that your energy or your vibration operates at many different levels. You know, you've always been able to read people psychically. Okay, we all can. You know, it's very obvious really, because, you know, there's not one of you who has never experienced the feeling of walking into a room and, you know, picking up on the tension in the air. You know, when you've just walked in on two people, they've been having an argument, but they stop the minute you walk into the room, you still pick up on that tense energy, the negativity, you know, the tension. That's your psychic side, okay? You're picking up on that negative or tense energy. It's your psychic side that's picking it up. Okay, now when I do mediumship development with people, we do different exercises to identify how we're reading people and how we're connecting with spirit. And all of those things are very, very necessary to develop, especially if you're hoping to one day read other people. Okay, it's not a matter that you just, you don't need to do any development, and you just decide, well, okay, I can feel this of someone, I'm going to read their loved ones in spirit now, okay? Because you would pick up a certain amount of information from someone's own energy, okay? So it's just different ways. Okay, but all of that said, okay, I keep going off on tangents. All of that said, there's absolutely no substitute for actually sitting down and reading other people. Even way before you think you're ready or you think you're developed enough. Reading people is the only way that you will know if what you're getting from someone is on a psychic level or on a mediumship level. And I still do this all the time. I do it in queues in supermarkets or at, cash machines, or, whenever I'm around people, I'm trying to pick up what's going on, now, not because I'm nosy, it's not that level of psychic that, you want to know everything that's going on in their life, but just, even things like, are they feeling anxious? Are they feeling happy? Are they relaxed? Is there somebody with them from spirit? Just trying to, develop. This is all about developing. Now, I'm not doing it all of the time, okay? But I'm still developing. I don't know everything. I'm not, perfect and everything. I'd love that, the fact that you might think that I am, but I'm not, okay? But, you can read yourself. Absolutely. You can look for signs from your own loved ones in spirit. But that in itself is problematic for a very simple reason. And that is because you already know your loved ones in spirit. Okay? So I know who my grandfather was. I love my grandfather. You hear me talk about him a lot. And I know exactly who he was. I know that he was in the military police in the Irish Army. Okay? I know he used a walking stick towards the end of his life. I know that his brother Billy died when he was just 13 years old. I mean, Billy died. Billy was 13, not my granddad. My granddad was the oldest. But his brother Billy was only 13 when he died. I know all of these things. My granddad talked about his brother, every day he mentioned his brother and how much he missed him, okay, because they were very close. So I know all of these things and more. So if I'm trying to connect with my granddad, what evidence can I give myself to prove that I really am connecting with him? Very little, okay, because if he's going to tell me something that I don't know, how am I going to validate it anyway? Okay, so it's very hard to read your own loved ones in spirit. Because when you go to a medium for a reading, they will give you information that they couldn't possibly know about your loved one. Okay, and this is the evidence that they are actually making a connection with spirit and not just reading it from you psychically. Because the clincher really in any reading is acknowledging the things that you might have forgotten about, or, things that you have to check up on afterwards. Because, then you know that the medium is getting the information directly from spirit and not reading you psychically. Okay? So, for example, I did a reading for someone not too long ago, and during the reading, a grandfather came through. Now, the person that I was reading for didn't have any memories of their granddad, okay? Their granddad had died when they were quite young. There was another reason that the granddad came through, which I won't go into here, but when the man came through, he kept tipping his cap at me and smiling, okay? The old-fashioned way, gentlemen used to tip their caps. Now, he made us laugh at the way he was going on, okay? But before every sentence that he said, he tipped his cap at me. And it was only after the reading my customer checked with family members and came back to me to validate that their grandfather always wore his cap. Okay, he always wore a cap, always tipped the cap at people, to the point that their grandfather was actually known to everybody as Cappy. That was his nickname, was Cappy, because he always wore the cap and he always tipped the cap at people. So if my customer didn't know this, then I wasn't picking that up from their energy. I wasn't getting that psychically. This was coming directly from their granddad in the spirit world. Okay? Because they didn't know it. If they didn't know it, I couldn't pick it up psychically. So this I got straight from spirit. Am I making sense with this? Okay? There's different levels that you're getting information on. So I hope you see that some information will always be available within a person's energy. Okay, so you can read them. What you need to do is to make sure that you then raise your energy even higher so that you are connecting with spirit directly. Okay, it's a different level. So if you imagine, I know it's hard on a podcast to get a vision across, but if any of you, even if you can't read music, you'll have seen that music is written, and I think there's 5 lines, I don't read music either, but I'm just envisaging this in my head, that there's 5 lines for different notes. So if you imagine this as the different levels of spirit, okay, and all the different levels that you need to go through, okay, the bottom one being, where you are on a daily basis. The next one being where you're connecting with yourself and your higher self. The next one being connecting with people on a psychic level. And then going above that, to connecting with spirit, people's loved ones in spirit, and going above that to connect with people's guides, to give them, spiritual readings, spiritual direction and all of that. So there's all these different levels. Okay. So getting back to reading people, okay, and practicing. It's important that you begin to read people and to practice as early as possible. Okay? Get used to sitting in the energy of spirit. Get used to connecting with people around you. Get used to the different levels of energy that you're picking up on. Okay? Some of you will be excellent psychics. You will read everyone without a bother. But you may find it a bit more difficult to lift your energy that extra bit to connect directly with spirit. Okay, you can do it and you will do it. It will just take practice. And this is why spiritual community and spirit circles are so important. In episode 156, just a couple of episodes ago, I discussed the importance of community in spiritual practice. So check out that episode if you haven't already. Okay, it's very important. Spirit circles or any kind of spiritual community is the best way for you to meet people who are open to being read and who will give you the best and most honest feedback that you need in order for you to develop. Okay? We can stay working alone and we can convince ourselves that we are developing. But let's be honest, we're human. We need validation. And there's nothing like you saying to someone, you were in your garden last night talking to the rose bush that you planted in memory of your mother. And for that person to turn around and give you instant feedback and say, yes, I was talking to her at the rose bush. Or, as in my case, maybe you tell someone that their grandfather is wearing a cap and is consistently tipping it at you. And for that person to come back and to validate that their grandfather always wore that cap and always tipped it at people to the point that he was known to everyone as Cappy. I mean, even I need that validation. We don't do things alone, guys. Okay, we are a community. We need feedback. We need validation. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are. I say even me as if I'm someone special. I'm not. But I'm sure, even, world famous mediums need that validation too. Okay, everyone needs it. It's the only way that we can trust that the information that we're getting, okay, and if I'm honest, it's the only way that we can trust ourselves to say that what we're getting, okay? Because without validation, we start to believe that we're making things up. Okay, so we need the validations that we can trust ourselves to trust spirit that they're giving us the correct information. Okay, so the only way really for you to develop is to make yourself vulnerable. I'm sorry, but it is. You need to put yourself in front of people who are open to giving you the feedback that you need to hear, while at the same time being supportive of you. Okay? Now, just to be clear, I'm definitely not asking you to go ahead today and advertise yourself as a reader and begin charging for readings. Okay? Not today. Okay? No. You do need to develop first. I gave free readings for a long time. I did, before I felt confident enough to charge people. And even beyond my development classes, when I first, put my page up on Facebook, it wasn't just like, I suppose what I'm trying to say is that it wasn't just when I was doing the classes and I said, to my friends and family, come and let me read you. I actually put my Sandie Byrne medium page up on Facebook and told people, come and I'll read you for free. All I ask is honest feedback, okay? And that's how I started my business. It was the best learning experience of my life. Okay, because there was no expectation. Okay, people didn't expect perfection. It gave them the opportunity to satisfy their curiosity, while at the same time gave me the opportunity to practice. Okay, now that being said, okay, spirit circles are a much better way to begin, because it is a supported and a controlled environment where everyone's expectations are better managed. Okay, because you're always going to get someone coming for a free reading expecting, to meet John Edward or Eileen Garrett or some other famous medium. But don't let that put you off. It's a learning experience for both the sitter and the medium in these sessions. Okay, you're going to get it wrong. You're going to misinterpret what you're being given. Everyone does it. This is part of the journey. Even the best mediums in the world misinterpret what they're being given by spirit. It's part of mediumship. You're not going to understand every little thing that spirit gives to you. Because, hey, revelation, it's not your message. The message is for the sitter. They will get it if you just describe what it is that you're seeing or you're feeling or you're hearing or whatever. Okay? I keep saying to people that mediumship is not an exact science. Okay, there won't be a day where your spirit guide will appear in front of you and say, hey, come on now, today's the day, you're connected to spirit now, go forward and spread the message. Okay, it doesn't happen like that. It won't happen like that. Okay, what will do is that it will happen by accident. Okay, I remember, years ago being in a development class, and we each had to stand up in front of the group and give a message to someone. I was so nervous that I couldn't look at the people sitting in front of me. I actually stood with my back to them. So I had stood with my back to the audience so that I couldn't see them. I had relied totally on the energy of spirit. And that day I gave a reading to someone from their sibling who had never, ever, ever come through in any readings before. I gave the reading, and in return I got a hug from that audience member, which to this day was the best feedback that I have ever received. We were both crying. We really were. My point here, I'm sorry that my computer is buzzing away in the background, but my point here is that you have to go with your energy. Where your energy is at any particular time. Okay, I had to let myself be a beginner. I don't care that generations of my family were readers. I wasn't. I was still a beginner, and I'm still developing and still learning. But I needed on that day to allow my emotions to take over and to go with what I was feeling at any given time. So really what I'm trying to get across to you in a long-winded way is that you need to trust the process and allow it to happen. Nobody wakes up one day and decides that they're going to start reading people on that day. It creeps in over years, and then one day you recognize that you've been feeling things from people or from spirit, and you begin working on developing it. Okay, so you won't know from the start whether what you're picking up is coming directly from spirit or if you're reading it psychically from someone. That will come over time. But do not let it stop you working with what you're getting right now. Most people work psychically first, even if they don't admit it. Okay? Because they're raising their energy to the psychic level and they're staying there. They don't know about the different levels. They haven't done the development. Okay? They haven't learned the mechanics of it. So they raise their energy to the psychic level, think, I'm there, I can do it, but they never raise it beyond that. The only way that you will raise your energy above the psychic level is to keep going. Okay, listen to the feedback you're getting from people. Welcome it, embrace it. Don't see it as criticism. Okay, we're all learning and we're all developing. The only person who puts pressure on you is yourself. Okay, so I always say start connecting with yourself. Okay, if that makes you more comfortable, but it's also a better way. Because, after all, if you can't connect with yourself, then how can you expect to connect with spirit? So for my mediumship development program, this is always the first step. Connect with ourselves and lift our own energy before we try and connect with spirit. Okay? Trust yourself, guys. You can do this. All you need is the practice. It's unfortunate I can't teach it all to you in a podcast, okay, but there are plenty of circles and programs available. See which one you're drawn to, okay, see which teacher you're drawn to, because it has to be right for you, okay. It's a process, guys. We're all on the path, okay. I'm not at the end of my path yet. I'm still learning, I'm still developing. I'm just sharing what I know now with you, okay. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Life After Life. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, take care and stay safe.
Discussing everything about the afterlife and spirit